The housing meltdown of 2026 is officially underway, and some cities are already sinking fast. The kind of plunge that feels like the 2008 crisis is calling to reclaim its foreclosure records. But this isn't only about home prices sliding downhill. What we're witnessing is entire local economies coming apart at the seams, the way a Costco rotisserie chicken practically disintegrates under its own heat. And here's the wild part. Most folks still believe this is just a minor correction. Meanwhile, we're about to walk through 10 major cities where home values aren't just dipping. They're crashing by an astonishing 50 to 80%. You'll see exactly where the bubble finally burst, why so many homeowners are stuck with properties they can't sell, and how the classic American dream has basically been repossessed. Stick around, hit that subscribe button, and drop a like. Because what you're about to learn might be the one thing that keeps your bank account from taking a disastrous hit. Number 10. Cape Coral, Florida. You roll into Cape Coral expecting paradise. Endless canals, bright sunshine, and the sweet lure of no state income tax. Everything looks perfect, until you decide to peek at Zillow. That's when the reality check hits. The typical home price has plunged from roughly $465,000 down to about $260,000 in less than 2 years. That's not a dip. That's a 44% tumble straight down an elevator shaft, and the descent isn't over. And then there's the insurance crisis. Homeowners aren't just paying expensive premiums. Many are being outright cut off by their insurers. Florida's insurance landscape is such a mess that people are opening renewal letters with $10,000 a year premiums on houses barely worth $300,000. One family in Cape Coral said their insurance doubled, and their home appraisal came back $120,000 lower than what they originally paid. Their dream house has basically turned into a financial anchor chained to the hurricane zone. Speaking of storms, they're not slowing down. Hurricane Ian didn't just damage Lee County. It erased parts of it like someone pressed a backspace key. Rebuilding costs shot up. Contractors bailed halfway through jobs. And FEMA? Getting assistance feels like leaving a voicemail for a ghost. So what are residents stuck with now? Overpriced homes they can't sell. Property values headed to the basement. Insurance bills that look like car payments, about $900 a month. HOAs that demand every penny plus community improvement fees that never seem to improve anything. A legal system that appears to be the only thing thriving. Local homeowners are panic listing their properties. Houses are lingering for 6 months or more, gathering dust online. Calling them price cuts is generous. Many are more like price amputations. A canal front home originally listed for $899,000 in early 2024 eventually sold for $420,000 just half a year later. That's not a correction. That's a clearance sale. And don't think renting is a safe escape. Sure, rents are sliding too, but they're still high enough to make you reconsider every money decision you've ever made. So now the real question is this. Would you rather throw your cash into a Florida bonfire or let the next Category 5 storm carry it out to sea? If you've lived through insurance nightmares or Cape Coral chaos, drop your stories in the comments. This place has plenty of them. Number 9. Austin, Texas. You roll into Austin expecting the classic tech city energy. Startups buzzing, food trucks on every corner, that whole Silicon Hills fantasy. Instead, what greets you is the harsh reality of an economic hangover nobody planned for. During the pandemic, home prices shot up more than 90%, like someone strapped the market to a rocket. But once the hype faded, the crash came quick. By the middle of 2025, the median home price slid from about $575,000 down to just below $385,000. That's roughly a 33% drop, and the slide still isn't finished. Turns out that when Elon Musk fires off dramatic tweets and tech companies hire faster than they can think, it doesn't magically create long-term economic stability. Mass layoffs at Tesla, Meta, and a whole graveyard of failed startups have turned once glittering downtown towers into hollow, echoing glass monuments. And who's holding the bag on all those overpriced condos? Pretty much everyone who believed $4,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment was the future of remote work. Then add mortgage rates sitting over 7%. The buying frenzy froze instantly. Suddenly, nobody wants to shell out close to $1 million for a house with fake industrial decor and a backyard that transforms into a seasonal pond every spring. Homes are lingering on the market for 4 to 6 months, sometimes longer. Price cuts? They're everywhere. One new construction in East Austin was listed for $799,000 just last year. Now it's desperately calling for offers at $499,000, and even then, it's collecting dust. And don't worry, the HOAs haven't gone anywhere. They're thriving, actually. Some even attempted to charge a tech community maintenance fee to support high-speed internet infrastructure, which nobody is using because the buildings are half empty. To make matters worse, insurance costs keep creeping up thanks to record heat waves, shrinking water reserves, and Texas's electricity grid playing hide-and-seek every summer. Remember that once famous migration boom? Yeah, that's now running in reverse. Californians arrived, panicked at the price tags, and are now fleeing to Tennessee in crowds. Longtime Austinites are bailing out too. Anyone who still has equity is trying to cash in before the floor drops again. So next time someone insists that Austin is the new Silicon Valley, ask them which part they're talking about: the utopian tech dream, or the version where everyone is broke, underwater, and staring at vacant office towers. Number 8. Boise, Idaho. Welcome to Boise, the place where Californians fled to escape insane housing costs, only to recreate the exact same mess and then head for the exits. This city went from a quiet little secret to a full-blown real estate disaster faster than anyone expected. From 2020 through 2022, prices here skyrocketed more than 70%, turning ordinary houses into luxury items. But by the middle of 2025, the entire market collapsed. Home values have now fallen nearly 50%, with the median price dropping from around $540,000 to roughly $285,000. And that number is still slipping downward like potatoes tumbling off a broken conveyor belt. Here's the catch: practically everyone overpaid. Remote workers swarmed into Boise, assuming they'd found an affordable paradise, but the jobs never arrived to support that fantasy. Wages stayed low, the tech transplants disappeared as quickly as they came, and suddenly Boise was stuck with Los Angeles-level prices but Idaho-sized paychecks. Drive through certain neighborhoods and you'll see entire subdivisions of brand-new homes that barely had time to collect dust before going into foreclosure or selling for brutal losses. One unlucky buyer reportedly burned through $180,000 trying to flip a modern farmhouse, a place that now resembles a gloomy Airbnb waiting for a ski season that isn't on the calendar. Renters aren't catching a break either. Yes, rents are falling, but vacancy signs are everywhere. Landlords are offering flexible lease terms that basically translate to, "Please, someone, anyone, just take this unit before winter hits." Insurance costs? Those jumped too. After consecutive wildfire scares. Yes, even Idaho now has regular fire seasons. Premiums shot upward. Housing isn't the only thing running hot, apparently. Add to that the political tension, a once quiet small-town culture suddenly clashing with fast-paced suburban expansion. Longtime residents are frustrated. Newcomers are packing up. And no one has a clue who's supposed to pay for the infrastructure boom the city rushed into during the frenzy. So what's Boise dealing with now? Empty houses. Suburbs built out far beyond demand. A cloud of resentment thicker than a pat of butter melting on a hot skillet. A job market that feels more gas station gritty than mountain dream escape. You came chasing mountain views and affordable living. What many people ended up with was negative equity and a job hunt they didn't sign up for. Still convinced Boise is a safe investment? Drop your stories below if your supposed escape haven turned into a financial trapdoor. Number 7. Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to Las Vegas, where the odds were never in your favor if you bought a home anytime after 2021. If you rolled the dice on real estate here, there's a good chance the house cleaned you out. The median price has plunged from roughly $475,000 to just under $280,000, a jaw-dropping 60% collapse that still isn't finished. Vegas has turned into a living case study on how FOMO can drain your bank account faster than a blackjack table at 3 a.m. During the post-COVID buying frenzy, investors flooded both the Strip and the suburbs, scooping up anything with a roof and a coat of paint. Suddenly, every spare room became an Airbnb, and locals found themselves priced out of their own city. But now, short-term rentals are empty. Tourism has cooled off. And the backbone of Vegas, the casino workers, servers, dancers, and stage tech crews, can hardly afford to stay in the city they keep alive. And the trouble doesn't stop with home values. Insurance prices have skyrocketed thanks to brutal heat and ongoing water shortages. Nevada is facing historic drought conditions. If your swamp cooler dies in July, let's just say you're joining it. One homeowner even claimed their monthly water bill is now competing with their car payment, like they're paying for the privilege of being slow-cooked. Drive farther out toward the developing suburbs, and it gets even bleaker. New construction zones are littered with half-finished houses, abandoned after developers ran out of buyers and couldn't secure more financing. Entire neighborhoods are stuck in limbo. No paved sidewalks, no utilities, no residents, just empty lots and drifting tumbleweeds. Even the casinos, the immovable giants of Vegas, are showing nerves. Resort fees keep creeping up, foot traffic is thinning, and local businesses are tightening budgets. Sure, you can still catch a Cirque show, as long as you're comfortable watching your home value do acrobatics of its own. So yes, in Vegas, the house typically wins. But this time, the actual houses are the ones taking the beating. If Vegas was supposed to be your big real estate play, what's that investment worth now? Would you still place the same bet? Drop your most painful Sin City property stories in the comments. We know there are some good ones out there. Number 6. Phoenix, Arizona. You roll into Phoenix and the first thing you notice is the heat. The kind of heat where it's 112 degrees in the shade and even your sunglasses feel like they're sweating. It's the perfect backdrop for watching your home value melt down faster than the plastic on your car's dashboard. The Valley of the Sun? Right now it's looking more like the Valley of Falling Price Tags. Since Phoenix hit its wild peak back in 2022, property values have taken a nosedive of almost 50%. The median home price, which once soared past $600,000, is now clinging to roughly $315,000, and the descent hasn't stopped. The boom phase was absolute chaos. California buyers flooded in like a tidal wave. Flippers grabbed anything with 4 walls. Even RV parks started getting luxury renovations, whatever that means. But when interest rates shot up, that entire enthusiasm train flew off the tracks. Investors ghosted the market, and now the outskirts of Phoenix are dotted with half-complete subdivisions where tumbleweeds outnumber humans. Thinking about selling? Yeah. Good luck. Homes are sitting for 5 to 6 months before getting any real attention. A modest 2-bed, 2-bath that was listed for $525,000 last summer finally sold for $299,000. With closing costs covered and a free patio set tossed in like an apology gift. And then there's the heat. Not the "your steering wheel is trying to brand you" kind, but the type that makes insurance companies extremely uncomfortable. Wildfire-prone areas are creeping closer to neighborhoods. Infrastructure is straining under extreme weather. And the water situation? That's not just a dramatic headline. Arizona's supply from the Colorado River keeps shrinking, and several counties are already dealing with strict usage limits. Of course, the HOAS haven't gotten the memo that everything is falling apart. Even if your street looks like a filming location for a post-apocalyptic movie, they'll still fine you for a cactus leaning the wrong direction. Let's not forget the electric companies. APS and SRP keep hiking rates, claiming it's due to unprecedented energy demand. Translation: it'll cost you $400 a month just to avoid passing out while making toast in your own kitchen. Phoenix was sold as this affordable, fast-growing, sun-soaked dream destination. But lately, it feels a whole lot more like a financial dehydration chamber. Thinking about snatching up a desert property anyway? Tell us below. Seriously, how hot is too hot for house hunting? Number 5. San Francisco, California. Ah yes, San Francisco. Once the sparkling crown jewel of the tech boom, now a fog-covered reminder that even the mightiest cities can trip over their own price tags. You arrive thinking you'll uncover opportunity or at least a little leftover magic. Instead, you're greeted by a median home price that sunk from $1.6 million to just under $900,000 in under 3 years. That's a 55% drop, though locals will be quick to remind you it's still wildly out of reach. But the falling prices are only half the saga. Let's talk about the ghost city atmosphere. Tech companies left. Remote work stayed. And downtown San Francisco now feels like a half-finished movie set. Empty office towers, hollowed-out condos, and even a Whole Foods that survived less than a year before surrendering to crime, costs, and chaos. You know the situation is grim when even Amazon decides it's time to pack up its snacks and quietly vanish. People who handed over $2 million for a cozy, 1,200 square foot Victorian in Noe Valley are discovering their homes are worth maybe half that on a good week. And while values sink, expenses definitely don't. Property taxes continue to rise. HOAs are demanding $1,200 a month for buildings where the elevator works only when it feels like it. And those breathtaking bay views? They now include tent encampments and security guards outside shuttered drugstores. Insurance is another adventure. If you can actually secure a policy, celebrate, you're one of the lucky ones. With wildfire zones inching closer from nearby counties and the entire state dealing with insurance companies pulling out, many homeowners are being abruptly dropped. One San Francisco resident reportedly lost coverage simply for living within 25 miles of a burn area, which is practically all of Northern California. Then there's the crime, the political gridlock, the taxes. It's no wonder longtime residents are fleeing to Oregon, Idaho, and yes, even Nevada. Investors are tossing properties overboard like cold, abandoned startup lattes. San Francisco's reputation is finally reflecting what the numbers have been saying for years. So here's the big question. If your once $1 million condo is now valued around $600,000, while you're still coughing up $3,000 every month in taxes, HOA fees, and insurance, what exactly are you hanging on to? Number 4. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You roll into Myrtle Beach expecting classic seaside charm. Breezy afternoons, smiling tourists, golf carts zipping around, maybe some Jimmy Buffett drifting out of a beach bar. But the picture-perfect vibe on the postcards hides a housing market that's been spiraling like a hurricane that showed up drunk to happy hour. Since 2023, home values here have plunged by more than 45%. That's not a gentle correction. That's a full-on dive into a pool of financial regret. So what went wrong? During the pandemic, Myrtle Beach turned into a gold rush for investors. Everyone and their cousin bought beach condos and vacation rentals as if they were souvenir keychains. Airbnb dreams exploded overnight, but the market became wildly oversaturated. Far more rentals than tourists. Now, short-term units sit empty. HOAs are burning through their reserves. And tourism just isn't strong enough to support the army of mortgages people took on. One condo owner said he lost $80,000 in equity, and he's still stuck paying $700 every month to an HOA for a building with swampy green pool water and a dead elevator. The kicker? He can't even rent the place out anymore because the HOA changed the rules halfway through the year. Insurance has turned into its own horror show. Carriers are dropping out faster than beachgoers during a shark warning. Rising hurricane activity and flood risks pushed insurance premiums up 60% in just 18 months. Some companies even canceled policies after a single storm alert. Homeowners are trapped choosing between selling at a painful loss or clinging to a property that's rapidly becoming a money pit. And the insanity doesn't stop there. New developments keep getting rubber-stamped, flood zones be ignored. Builders are stacking rows of identical houses like sandcastles on the shoreline, hoping to cash out before the next big storm comes through and knocks everything flat. Locals have reached their breaking point. Beach traffic is unbearable. Rents are sliding, and nobody wants to buy your ocean-sprayed, moisture-warped investment property. So tell me, which one is actually scarier? A shark circling you in the water? Or an HOA meeting in Myrtle Beach? If your beach town fantasy turned into a budgetary disaster, drop your story below. You're definitely not alone. Number 3. Salt Lake City, Utah. You cruise into Salt Lake City picturing crisp mountain air, postcard-worthy snowcaps, and a cheaper, calmer alternative to the West Coast chaos. Instead, you end up driving straight into one of the steepest real estate declines anywhere in the country. From 2020 to 2022, home prices didn't just rise, they detonated, jumping more than 75%. But ever since, the market has been crashing harder than a snowboarder wiping out on a black diamond trail. Prices have fallen over 40%, and they're still skidding downward. That house that went for $620,000 just 2 years ago? Now it's listed around $365,000. And even then, many of them are sitting untouched, with open houses so empty you half expect tumbleweeds to roll through the living room. So what triggered the collapse? Classic hype overload. A wave of California tech workers arrived with remote salaries and cash offers, buying anything that even resembled a home. A dated fixer-upper with asbestos and peeling paint? Gone in 48 hours for over-asking price. Locals were priced out overnight, developers raced to slap up new construction, and all of a sudden Salt Lake started feeling less like Utah and more like a mini San Jose with ski resorts. Then reality struck. Interest rates surged. Tech layoffs rolled in. And those same out-of-state buyers who once threw elbows in bidding wars are now posting listings with "motivated seller," "negotiable," and "please make an offer" in bold, desperate lettering. The rental market isn't doing any better. Downtown complexes are handing out 3 months of free rent just to get someone to move in. One landlord was reportedly spotted on a freeway off-ramp, waving a sign advertising vacancies. Yes, that actually happened. Meanwhile, insurance costs are rising thanks to wildfire danger in the foothills and earthquake risks the state largely ignored until recently. And HOAs? They've gone full power trip mode, handing out parking fines like they're trying to replace the city's entire ticketing department. Salt Lake City was once billed as a hidden gem. Now it's feeling more like an overbuilt, overpriced snow globe with a cracked base, shaking for all the wrong reasons. Would you gamble on a market this unstable? Or wait until the last investor turns off the lights on their way out? Drop your thoughts below if Salt Lake's housing hype left you with a frosty dose of regret. Number 2. Naples, Florida. You glide into Naples expecting the classic Florida fantasy. Calm beaches, golf carts cruising around, sunset dinners, and retirees living their best lives. But instead of coastal serenity, you're greeted by financial whiplash, a stack of unexpected fees, and the constant looming fear of your HOA sending you a strongly worded letter. At the peak of the 2022 madness, the average home price here hit an eye-watering $1.1 million. Fast forward to now, and a lot of those same properties are struggling to fetch even half that. Luxury condos? Some of them have seen their values collapse by more than 80%. So what caused Naples to unravel? Start with the hurricanes, specifically Hurricane Ian. Ian didn't simply shred roofs, it blew apart the entire illusion of Naples as a foolproof real estate paradise. Entire subdivisions ended up underwater, both in the literal sense and the financial one. Rebuilding costs skyrocketed, contractors were overwhelmed, and insurance companies hit their breaking point. Premiums in Collier County have tripled since 2023. One homeowner said their annual insurance jumped from $3,200 to more than $11,000 for a modest $500,000 house. And that's assuming you can even get insurance. Coverage didn't just become more expensive, it became almost elusive. Citizens Property Insurance, Florida's so-called last resort, now has waiting lists. Imagine needing to wait in line just for the privilege of paying outrageous premiums. That's Naples right now. And then we have the HOAs. Naples is filled with gated, meticulously landscaped communities that promise maintenance-free living, which in real-world translation means $800 per month in fees. Surprise assessments for who knows what. And Todd, there's always a Todd. The HOA enforcer who slaps you with a violation because your garage door stayed open for 4 minutes instead of 3. Taxes add another layer of fun. Sure, Florida doesn't take income tax, but property taxes in areas like Naples are punishing, especially when they're based on the inflated price you paid back when everyone was losing their minds in bidding wars. The luxury market? Practically on life support. Foreign buyers have pulled out. Boomers are unloading their vacation homes. Golf courses are half empty and filled with people muttering about assessments and insurance quotes. Naples once looked like a retirement fantasy. Palm trees, peace, and premium living. Right now, though, it's starting to resemble a hurricane-prone financial trap wrapped in stucco and screened-in pools. So ask yourself, would you trade financial stability for sunshine, palm trees, and endless HOA headaches? If your Florida dream turned into a Category 5 budget disaster, share your survival story in the comments. Naples has plenty of them.